Now, I'm really curious about your sort of thoughts on where the social media sphere is moving everything,
Mhm.
because it's, you know, seeing the huge transformation that social media has impacted, not only just in the dating world, but like in the global sphere in general. It's been quite interesting to see. So I'm really, really curious to see exactly where your thoughts are on the trajectory of where it's pushing everything.
Yeah.
Do you think it's pushing everything in the direction that a lot of people are saying that, everything's like going to hell in a handbasket? Or is it more that there's a lot of still good opportunity out there to really foster it and use what it was theoretically originally designed for?
So if you were to look at like a scale of people as far as like rate them by their income, the United States has like a large middle class compared to most industrialized countries. What social media did is it eliminated the middle class for men. There is no male middle class anymore. You're a guy who gets like tons of options with women because you have it figured out, or you get nothing. And the reports from the U.S. Census data, the Institute for Family Studies, the I can't remember what the other one is called. There's several other studies that show GSS. They show these studies where it's like 26% of men under the age of 30 are virgins, 26%. And then like when you consider that the average North American male has slept with 5 women in his entire life. So now we're at the 50th percentile, we're at 5. The top 5% of men are at 150. So if you were to look at it like this, sexual opportunity is 0, 0, 0. It goes up to 5, and then it shoots up to 150. What Instagram, what social media has done is it's eliminated this middle class. It's not a linear. If you were to look at female body count, you probably find like a linear graph.
Right.
But for men, you find a hockey stick. So what it's done is it's eliminated the middle class for men. There's a small group of men at the top. Social media has allowed a small group of men at the top to get all the women, and the rest of men who are like have a shitty Instagram or shitty social media, shitty Twitter, shitty Facebook, whatever. It's like there's either excellent or caca. There's no such thing as a man who's a 6 anymore on social media. You are a man that women are chasing and other women can see them chasing you, or you're complete and total garbage and you have absolutely no chance with a woman unless you get drunk with a very unattractive woman at a bar. Like that's the only shot you have. And so what's happened is like I used to hang out with Mystery and Matador and Neil Strauss and all those guys back in like 08, 09, 010. And the things they were doing worked so much better back then because Instagram had not come out.
Right.
So now what happened is there would be like a guy, they'd be in a club and they'd be talking to all the girls and all the guys, and there would be a stratification of value in there. There'd be one guy who's really good looking, or he'd have a dance floor table or whatever. He'd have some form of value. And then maybe at the end of the night, valet would come up and one guy would pull up in a Lambo and he had like a discernible advantage over other dudes, or he was good looking, or he's very charismatic or super connected. And what's happened is that advantage that the guy had, let's just say it's a 15% advantage over a replacement level guy like me, he'd have a 15% advantage. So he'd have a higher chance of taking a girl home statistically. What happens is because of social media, that 15% advantage is now exponential because it's multiplied by 1 billion women. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so now his advantage becomes humongous. It becomes like inexhaustible. And so whenever I hang around these guys who like have their shit together, like, and I'm talking everything from a male stripper to a VIP host to a guy who's a billionaire to a guy who's a comedian to a guy who's an actor, to a guy who's just really funny, or to a guy who just goes out and is super social. He has dates lined up 2 a night, 7 nights a week if he wants. And then when I talk to a buddy of mine who's like 22 years old working at Walmart, he can't get one single date on Tinder. Right. You see what I'm saying? Right. So the middle class for men has evaporated. That's what social media has done.
Okay. Now, since this is what the playing field is, where do you see it going? Do you see it just getting more extreme or more polarized?
I get it more polarized, more bifurcated. But the thing is, because there's been this incredible push by mainstream culture to demasculinize men, they can, like, again, like, violence for violence sake is wrong.
Right.
Assaulting people, taking advantage of them sexually, committing crimes is wrong. In that it is wrong, if we want to call it toxic, it is toxic. And men and women both do it.
Right.
Okay. What's happened, though, is that anything that men do that's masculine, that upsets women, isn't necessarily wrong just because it upsets women. So, for instance, a man having a boundary and decide, like, I watch... I didn't do it on my own volition. We were doing research. Rollo watched the Barbie movie, so I had to watch the Barbie movie. I bootlegged it. Okay, thank you to the Indian people for bootlegging it for me. I watched the Barbie movie, and doing so, there's a scene in there where Ken is completely told he's superfluous. Barbie's like, "You're just the boyfriend. You're just a side piece. I don't really need you." And Ken does what men are supposed to do. He got the fuck up and he left and he made a better life for himself. And all the other people in the movie are like, look how immature Ken is. Why don't you take your little superfluous nature like a bitch, like a man? And like, so women are like, the society is telling men that they need to be lower status and just accept it. And their masculine qualities are immature. Them wanting to be attractive to multiple women is immature. Them having boundaries is immature. That's what they're being taught. So because of that, and because so many men listen, the ability to get into that top 20% has never been easier. There's fewer people in that highest strata. I say top 20%. It's actually not. If you were to look at a normal distribution, it's probably 84% of men are in the lower status and 16% of men in the higher status, just because that's, if you look at, that's 1.5 standard deviations. So if you were to say that, if you were to use those numbers, what you would come up with is there's never been fewer people in that 14% or 20% or whatever it is, but it's never been easier to get into it, because all you have to do is look at and say, hey, maybe I should look at what works and not what I'm being taught. The idea of being hyper vulnerable with a woman when you first meet her is bad game. I don't care what anyone tells you. That's unattractive to women. You want to lose a woman? Here's what you do. You tell her your problems.
Right.
But that's not what people are telling. Be more vulnerable. Talk about your feelings. Blah, blah, blah. That kind of stuff. Like, no, that's not good advice. It is good advice to the mother of your children, because she's earned that place. You've just had your first child. You want to cry in front of your wife. That's totally, you lost a family member. You want to cry in front of your wife. That's totally appropriate. It is not appropriate to go on a first date with a woman and tell her about all the times other women have cheated on you, because the woman sitting across from you now thinks you have a micro penis and you're super fucking possessive and all these other, this is bad game. These guys don't understand this. So all I do is I look at my competition. I'm 45. I look at my younger competition. I look at Tekashi 6ix9ine, who's a snitch, Machine Gun Kelly, who dresses in a pink dress, and then someone like Post Malone, who's addicted to drugs and has tattoos on his face. And I'm like, I just won't do that, and I should be able to get women. And voila, guess what? I was right. Yeah, that turns out I was right.
I tell guys all the time, right, that it's like, the average guy has set the bar so low, that to stand out, you don't even have to be like top tier exceptional, but just to even stand out above the crowd, it's never been easier. More entry points and access points.
And let me say something else. I'm not one of these people wake up at 4:30 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Drink your mushroom tea and do your yoga. No, I don't do fucking yoga. I don't take ice baths all the time. Ice baths are great, but I don't take them all the time. I don't wear blue blockers, all this other shit. I will tell you right now, when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, I'm going to play the fuck out of it. I'm one of the top players in the world at Madden, and I still have a perfect 10 girlfriend, and I still run an 8-figure business. Okay. So like you can still do this. I'm not trying to be too draconian when it comes to this stuff, but I'm telling you guys, if you just stop listening to bullshit. Now, here's the other part. Don't go in the other direction so far that it's like, now I hate women.
Right.
That's also, I love the shit out of women. My life, I was talking to Justin Waller about this and Dan Bilzerian about this. I'm going to go see Dan right after this. But talked to both of them, and they both said the same thing to me. And I think Adam Sosnick said something similar to me. He goes, the reason why I don't like making content about shitting on women is because my interactions with women have been generally positive. They generally lead to like threesomes. They're fun. Women are great. Women, my experiences, and I will say the same thing. My experience with women overall through the entirety of my life, maybe not in the beginning. I was made fun of a lot in high school, junior high, whatever. But my experiences with women in general are super, super, super positive. They help me raise money for charity. They're good friends to talk to. Like when I had to put a cat down the other day, I don't have guy friends that I can talk to about putting this beautiful cat that I rescued. I had to kill this cat because I had kidney failure. It was one of the hardest, but I had some of my female friends who had been involved in rescue, and they were able to give me advice on what to do. Like women are helpful in those instances. My overall experience with women, whether it be just having conversations with them and we're laughing, watching TV shows together, or in a hot tub with 12 of them and we're all naked, there's just been positive experiences. So what you don't want to do is get into the shit on women category either.
Right.
You don't want to go from the where you don't have boundaries category. That's bad. The simpy category. But you also don't want to go into the I shit on women, because that guy's not good with women either.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you don't want to do either one of those things.
Yeah. And I tell people all the time, a large reason why I'm able to get the best out of women and the best out of their interactions I have is because I just genuinely love them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have that genuine love for something, you're not going to be able to get the best out of it, experience the best out of it.